I first want to walk you through the recommended schedule that we're suggesting today. So I've been taking a long look at the industry, where it sits today, where the market is, and I'm going to give you a schedule as if you told me, Jeff, my goal this year is to sell 100 homes. And so with that, I want you to understand that this schedule is very intense. And for those of you that are in the room, they're like, hey, I don't have a goal to sell 100. I just want 50. Well, then I would pay more attention to not so much where I'm putting things in terms of the time. I would pay attention to how much time I'm spending in each activity. Because if you total up the time spent in the activity, then you can kind of figure out how that would fit with your life. Now, every time we do this, which is probably only once every couple of years, do I update the recommended real estate agent schedule, the top producer schedule. I know I lose probably 80 to 90% of my audience. To which you'd say, well, why do you keep doing it then, Jeff? Because you need to know what it takes if that's what you want to do. I know that there's people in this room right now that are selling over 100 homes a year personally, and I know there's people in this room that want to sell 100 homes a year. And I know there's a lot of you that want to fall somewhere in between 25 and 100. And so I'm going to give you the schedule at 100. Do what you want with it. In other words, what I would do if I'm in your shoes and these times don't work for you because of your family situation or you're a single parent or whatever, then I want you to pay more so attention to how much time I'm spending in every activity. And then from there, you can build your own schedule around your own personal goals and your family situation. So this is the 2026 schedule of a 100-year or 100 deal a year producer. Still starting at 6 a.m. So for my hashtag 5 a.m. clubs, sorry, we're not getting up that early for you yet. Okay. Wake and get ready. 7 a.m. Depart for office. Jeff, you want me in my office at like 7:30, 7:15, 7:45, depending on your commute? Yes. If you want to sell 100 homes. Jeff, I'm only going to my office like 3 days a week right now, and when I do, I go in at 9 o'clock. Okay. Do you want to sell 100 homes? Yes. That's not going to work. You want to sell 100 homes? Follow this. You want to sell less than 100? Just pull out about the amount of time spent in each activity from the schedule. 7:30 a.m., I want you on an accountability, ACCT, accountability, or a role play call. 7:30 a.m., I want you on an accountability call or a role play call, or both. For me, it was always both. We had an accountability. Today, we have a 7:25 accountability call, but when I also role played every single day, it was role play and accountability at 7:30. So it really should be both at 7:30 a.m. At 7:45 a.m., you're going to prepare your dials. Prepare your dials. And I don't care what source you work. I don't care if it's expires. I don't care if it's database. I don't care if it's internet lead. I don't care what source you work. You're a business professional, and most business hours, most people start their day at 8 a.m. So when people tell me, well, Jeff, I understand why you would call an expired at 8 a.m., but, really, would you call your database at 8 a.m.? Yes, you're a business professional. They start their day at 8 a.m. Why wouldn't you? 8 a.m., you start your dial session. Now, by the way, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that at 7:59 a.m. we assume the position. Okay? In real estate. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, that means at 7:59 you have your contacts ready to go, you have your headset on, you have everything lined up, and you're ready to hit start on your dialer or whatever it is. And if you're not using a dialer, you're just manually dialing. You have your headset on, you take the handset off the hook, or you're using your cell phone to start, and you're ready to make your first contact. Not 8:01, not 8:05, 7:59, because I need to start at 8. For me, if I'm working expireds, if I'm 2 minutes late to that good one, someone else is already on the phone with them. I know it. So at 8 a.m., I start the dial session. At 9:30 I take my first mindset break. So what that means is I'm going exactly 90 minutes straight of dialing without stopping. Start the dial session. mindset break at 9:30. At 9:45, I have a 15-minute mindset break. At 9:45, I'm back on the phones. Continue the dial session. By the way, if you're in this room and you're like, well, Jeff, I could use a lot more sales right now. My goal is not to sell 100 homes, but I'm also not busy right now because I don't have a lot of listings. I don't have a lot of pendings. I don't have a lot of sales. Why wouldn't you follow this? Why wouldn't you give this a shot? What do you have to lose? It's proven. I'm not teaching it because I read it in a book somewhere. I'm teaching it because we live it. That goes until 10:30. At 10:30, I shift gears and I go into lead follow-up. Lead follow-up. So my whole morning, all right, so from 8 to 9:30, 90 minutes here, and then 9:45 to 10:30, which is another 45 minutes here. This whole morning is focused around putting new people in the funnel. You'll never run out of business. You'll never wake up one day and say, gosh, I guess I need to start getting back on the phones. Ever wonder why you have this yo-yo business? Good month, bad month. Good month, bad month. Good top producer of the month, one month, nowhere to be found the next month. Why is that? Because you let your foot off the gas here and you just start servicing business that you have. If you do this day in and day out, no matter how much business you have, you never let your foot off the gas. You'll never have a leads problem because you're doing this day in and day out, no matter how much business you have. So at 10:30, I've generated a lot of leads from this morning or from a morning 7 days ago or from a morning 15 days ago, and so I need to follow up with those leads. By the way, a healthy ratio here, people ask me, Jeff, about how much time should I budget for lead follow-up? My recommendation is to follow a little bit of a 2-to-1 formula there. So what I mean by that is if you're going to prospect 2 hours a day, you need 1 hour a day of lead follow-up. If you're going to prospect 3 hours a day, you need 1.5 hours of lead follow-up. About 50% of what your lead generation time should go towards lead follow-up. Okay? So for me, I'm going to go from 10:30 to 11:15. 45 minutes of lead follow-up. And at 11:15, I'm going to go into content writing mode. Content writing. Not administering, not opening up TikTok and seeing what's going on. Content writing. Your creative thinking juices are highest in the morning. And I got to get that in the morning while you're fresh and still sharp. Well, Jeff, why wouldn't I do that maybe first thing then? Because then you'll never do this. So I don't ever want you to put content creation or content writing or anything in relation to social media before this. This is a non-negotiable. However, I do want this to happen in the morning. Because in the morning you're still sharp, you're still fresh, you still have some creative juices left to put time and effort into content writing. Jeff, how much time should I spend writing content every morning? 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So then at 11:45 a.m., I'm going into acknowledgement mode. Acknowledgement. What are acknowledgements, Jeff? I'm going to reach back out to every single person who reached out to me during the time that I was doing all this stuff. Well, Jeff, what if I get calls back and stuff during this? You ignore them. Well, why would I ignore them? It might be a lead because most likely it's a co-op agent or a title company wanting to talk about a problem with the deal that's not going to be closing for another 10 days. I can handle that later in the day. So if I want to control my mindset, I'm not handling any inbound calls during this time. It's only outbound. So when they call back, they're getting a call back from me here. They're getting a text message from me here. They're getting some level of conversation from me starting at 11:45. So wait a minute, Jeff. If you have a deal falling apart that's supposed to close the next day and they're reaching out to you in the morning, you're not going to reach back out to them until 11:45? That is correct. Because there is no customer, there is no prospect, and there is no problem that cannot wait until 12 noon. The problem will still be there. And actually, in some cases, it'll solve itself by the time you get around to fixing it. Because there's enough hands in the pot. There's enough people who have something to gain when that transaction closes. Okay? And then at lunchtime, we'll call that 12:15, because those might take you a half hour. Okay? You're going to do either a healthy workout and or time with family. Okay? This might be 2 hours of time with family, depending on your schedule. It might be an hour at the gym and 15 minutes for lunch. Wait a minute, Jeff. You mean you don't go to lunch with like people in the office and stuff? Never. Why? Well, they're never going to buy or sell a house with me, so why would I want to spend more time with them at lunch? I need to do something good for me because, as you see here, I didn't have time to get my workout in the morning, so I got to get it in somewhere. By the way, when you go to lunch with your associates, usually all they want to do is bicker about the latest company policy or who's sleeping with who or who's doing whatever. So why do I want that on my mind when I got a full afternoon slate of appointments to go on that I need my energy for? 2 hours, lunch, healthy workout, time with family, however you want to use it. That's my recommendation. 2 o'clock, you're back in the office. And from 2 to 4, you're doing admin, all admin and social media work. From 2 to 4. This is handling inspections, handling negotiations, maybe going to a closing, maybe working on administering your content, maybe taking that copy that you wrote in the morning and going out in front of your office and holding the phone up in front of your face and recording the copy that you wrote in that morning. Maybe it's working with the videographer to follow you into this appointment or to go show homes or whatever. You're doing something in relation to social media during this time. The social media work, not the copywriting, the social media, what I would call the social media administration or production, it's probably a combination of the two, takes place in the afternoon. Not in the morning, not here. That's from 2 to 4. From 4 to 5:30, door knock if you have no appointments to go on. So it's either door knock if you have no appointments to go on and capture footage. From 4 to 5:30, I want you to door knock if you have no appointments to go on. Well, Jeff, what if I have an appointment to go on? Go on the appointment between 4 and 5:30. So I'm sorry, I didn't write it down. I have it in my notes. I missed it. Appointment or door knock. And don't forget to capture footage when you're out there. That's from 4 to 5:30. You don't have an appointment to go on. You're suited up. You might as well go show it off. And then finally, 5:30 to 7, somewhere in this range. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes. But somewhere in this range, you're doing another round of lead follow-up and social media responses. Social media responses. Doesn't have to, I'm not saying it has to be 90. I'm just saying somewhere in this range. Maybe it's 45 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's 60 minutes. But I want another round of lead follow-up. The people that you couldn't reach in the morning that you know were hot leads. But also, you have to get back to every single person who engaged with your campaigns. Now, we're going to talk a little later this afternoon. There's tools and stuff that you can use to automate some of this. And there's also going to be people that respond and become leads that you need to follow up with. Because if those tools work correctly, these people are going to raise their hand and you have to set an appointment with them. Okay? If you want to peruse social media and see what's going on social media, do it after 7 o'clock. At this point, you have no idea what's going on in the world because you have not scrolled TikTok or Facebook or Instagram. That's not in the schedule. Top producers know that is like a black hole. You get sucked into it, you're not coming out. So therefore, it all happens. That happens after 7 p. Well, Jeff, I'm with my family and doing dinner with them at that time. Okay, cool. Then maybe you do it at 10 p. It doesn't happen here. If it happens there, it just distracts you from your core of what you need to do. And that's the 2026 recommended schedule.